Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Some Like It Pop, a bi-weekly look at the latest happenings in pop culture. This is Editor-in-Chief Bradley Stern.
I'm Managing Editor Samantha Vincenti.
I'm Associate Editor Ali Zubiak.
And I'm Matt Donnelly, and I'm a senior writer, and it's Sam's birthday.
It's Sam's birthday!
Hey, I'm so tired, you guys. It's partied down to a nub.
Okay.
Happy birthday.
Thanks.
And happy birthday to Catherine Perry, who
Yep.
is also it's her birthday. You two are very similar.
We have a lot in common, yeah.
So today we're talking about Katy Perry's former rival, actually. This is a woman who is currently going by the name Joanne.
I have not heard of her.
She is pop star Lady Gaga, and that is the subject of our podcast today. And I'm going to try to be reasonable and objective at times.
I will offer no such diplomacy. I will offer elocution.
So Lady Gaga released an album, as you have seen probably everywhere, called Joanne.
There's no avoiding it.
There's no avoiding it. She's all over your Instagram story, dancing on the sidewalks of New York City. She was performing her short-lived dive bar tour, Bud Light dive bar tour, across where there was only 3 stops: Nashville, New York, and her last one is...
Yeah, where is it?
I think it's to be announced.
L.A., I'm guessing.
I'm surprised she didn't end in New York.
I know. It felt like a finale. She performed at The Bitter End, where if you're not a sworn Gaga fan, you might not know that's where she got her start. Then as Stephanie Germanotta, singer-songwriter. So it was a return to roots, much like this record, allegedly.
Someone's roots. We're not sure if they're her roots,
We
but
don't know if they're
someone's
her
roots she returned to.
So this album is a dedication to her late aunt, Joanne, who also is the namesake of her middle name. Gaga has explained now in several interviews that the family has always really held Joanne in their memory, and it's been a very pivotal part of her experience is learning about her aunt that she never actually met, and that at age 19, that's the age that Joanne had died, Gaga decided to go into music. So she also feels a link to turning 19.
As we all do.
Yeah. And perhaps most questionably, she has now decided to assume Joanne's identity throughout this album, which for me is really hard to, accept and not think that it's gross as hell.
And contrived. And it also makes it very difficult when you're trying to search for her on Twitter very quickly, and you search Lady Gaga.
And
you have to search for Joanne.
You have to
I've
search.
noticed that.
Yeah, she's been signing off her tweets as Joanne. She's been signing the album as Joanne. Have you seen that?
Yeah, I have seen that.
That's
It says
strange.
XOXO Joanne.
It's like fake performance art.
Well, that's just a summary of her career as a whole. But
Oh dear.
It's hard because I'm of two minds with that, just because I hate to police someone else's grief. But
I agree.
Especially, and I would be interested to hear, and I'm sure we never will hear, the unadulterated way that her father thinks, because it's her father's sister, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. I don't think we'll probably ever hear the unvarnished truth of what her father thinks about it, or if he connects to this way of honoring his sister. She didn't know her, right?
No.
Yeah.
I will
Gaga
say,
didn't know Joanne.
as we reported today, they both got a Joanne tattoo together.
Okay. So, I mean, maybe he loves it, and maybe she really nailed it. Maybe he told her a lot and she got it right. Yeah, but that said, it does feel bizarre to channel. I'm trying to think of if I would channel one of my dead relatives, and it seems strange if you didn't know them at all.
And
Yeah.
let me agree, because I totally agree. I think it's a beautiful way to channel your memory of a late relative through music. I think what's more bothersome to me is like the spectacle of the character outside of the music, where she's like, I didn't even know she was signing as Joanne, which almost feels like mockery to me. It's sort of strange.
Right. I find that super strange. And also the identity. I will never know, or maybe will talk about it, but was Joanne into cowboy hats and cutoffs? Like, why, is she kind of Americana folk
Love the
leaning?
Bud Light.
Like we don't
It would help to have that. It would help to have a little bit of reference with that. Like
Yeah.
if there was some point of departure, if there's some photograph that she saw that really registered when
Yeah.
Joanne was wearing some
Totally.
pink hat like that.
Some
Just something to hold
context,
on to.
come
It is.
on.
I mean, it asks you to take a lot of leaps here with this shift in sound and
Yes.
this concept. It's a lot of. That said, I have never connected with Lady Gaga's music. I mean, I loved her main obvious singles like Paparazzi and Bad Romance, and liked some of her songs when I was tipsy on the dance floor. But otherwise, I am too averse to musical theater and that sort of delivery to enjoy a lot of her past. And I thought a lot of her songs sounded like bad Euro techno garbage, to be honest. Sorry. But I mean, she has a great voice. That's should go without saying at this point. I really enjoyed this album.
Yes, Sam
I really enjoy it.
is into this album. Let's go around the room and talk
Yeah.
about our.
I mean, not all of it. I will say I enjoy 60% of this album,
Okay,
which
That's
is a
more
lot
than
of an
I
album
thought you
for-
would.
That's a lot of album to enjoy
that is.
for any album these days.
Yes.
So,
Especially as someone that you weren't even checking for.
right. And
Yeah.
I was prepared to hate it because you guys turned on her.
I
Like
Yeah.
disloyal
I
fans.
sort a half turn.
Yes, Allie, what do you think about Joanne?
So it's difficult for me because I've been a fan of hers since the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And then Born This Way came out and started to turn. And then Art Pop came out and I just completely turned my back on her for good reason. And then Joanne came out and I was really gunning for. I was like, this is going to be great. You know, if you guys listen to this podcast, you heard when we spoke about Perfect Illusion, and I was
Mhm.
so on board. Sam and I
were.
were actually the
True.
only ones.
Yep.
I was fighting Matt and Bradley,
Yeah.
but I was like, I had such hope, and then Million Reasons came out and ruined my entire life
Mm.
because I really think that song is one of probably the worst song Gaga's ever written.
Wow. I don't
Possibly.
agree, but okay.
Yeah,
It's
it's just really boring for me.
I mean, I know it's being compared to a would-be Bruce Springsteen song.
yeah. It's getting a lot of high comparisons that
Yeah, I mean, I do think it's a pretty well. If you like that, do you guys like that? Okay, here's where I'm
Yeah.
situated. I am a huge fan, and at first when I liked this album so much, like from the jump, I mean, Diamond Heart is just it's such a good song. You guys really don't like it?
I like Diamond Heart.
I think it's
Diamond
a
Heart
monster
is
song.
possible.
I
hated
think
it
that
at
bridge
first,
is like
but I like
complete
it
monster.
now.
I think it's so good, and I had to self-assess if I also wanted to like this even more because I'm obsessed with everybody who worked on it. I've been a fan of Mark Ronson since like Here Come the Fuzz days, like back when he was engaged to Rashida Jones and they were all in like the Aaliyah More Than a Woman video. Like I've
Yeah.
just always been a huge Mark Ronson fan, both of his DJing and his production. I'm a huge Blood Pop fan. I'm a huge Josh Homme, Queens of the Stone Age fan. Didn't Beck work on Dancing
Yep.
in Circles,
Yeah.
which
Which
is
makes no
my new
sense.
favorite song about female masturbation.
right.
So I just really love like Father John Misty, who again, as we talked about, also wrote the best line in Hold Up for Beyonce. That's been a really weird career turn for him, considering he came from Fleet Foxes.
Yeah.
I really love everybody. Kevin Parker. I mean, just
Yeah.
everybody involved in it is so good, and I love their music, and I hear it, and
But she writes
I
and
love,
produces all her music herself.
But yeah, like every pop star. But
Yeah.
you know, and I do hear. I think Joanne is a really beautiful. The song Joanne is a gorgeous folk song, marred only by her delivery. And I could say that for several of the tracks. I think the production is incredible. And the things I like that Bruce Springsteen sound, I like the way it kind of sounds like Benny and the Jets on Hey Girl. I like that Joanne is a beautiful folk song. Again, that's marred by her belting, her theater belting.
Right.
I wish they'd asked her to turn down the theater belt a little
Yeah,
bit more.
I've been saying this since it leaked and I listened. If anyone else were singing these songs, I would love most of the album. But Lady Gaga has this weird affectation that she puts on that
Yeah.
just feels so inauthentic and not true to even her,
Yeah.
which is funny because in her earlier albums, she's always been over the top. That's just kind of her thing.
Yeah.
Like spectacle is just part of the Lady Gaga brand. But she's gone so musical theater with this that I can't even handle it. It's just too much.
Which
and it
is
just feels so
saying
unreal.
something because Allie is the biggest fan of musical theater of the bunch of us,
Right.
I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I probably am. Though I feel like Matt's probably seen more shows than
No,
I have.
I did see Waitress last week.
Oh,
with
there
my
we go.
mom.
Never mind,
Okay.
he is.
Bought a personal cherry pie. It was $10. But
Oh.
Wow.
I'm disappointed because I sort of agree with everything that Sam said, and theoretically I should like this album because in pop terms I'm sort of inclined to like go where big voices go, and like I really respond usually when, especially female artists, really experiment with vocal, different stylings, but I just hate it.
I think Ali hit it on the head with the affectation. For me, every time I almost get into a song, it's just her like, come on boys, like that, like
Yeah.
it's like, come
Yeah,
on, you're like from
I
you
said
went
yes-
to Tish, like let's calm the down.
I said yesterday, it sounds like to me she watched like Kill
Tarantino.
Bill with no sound on and was like, oh guys, I have an idea. And like it just ran with it. And it just sounds, I don't hear a single shred of connection between her and any of the songs. And I think so many of them sound like derivations of other songs.
Yeah, and she does this thing where she sings the way she thinks a country artist is supposed to sing.
Yes, exactly.
Like it has, I mean, we know her regular style and it doesn't sound, except for Dancing in Circles. That's the
Right.
only one where I'm like, oh, okay, I hear old Gaga here. This is great.
Well, that's what my general thesis of Joanne is that oddly, this stripped down era is in fact her most drag performance yet.
Yeah.
Because it's her being Elton John, being Bruce Springsteen. Like it feels like, as a friend of mine put it, if you go on Spotify, one of those third party in the style of Selena Gomez albums, where it's like people, session singers who vaguely sound like them, it feels like, to quote Madonna, reductive, because it doesn't feel like there's any ounce of her in it. It feels like she's taking songs that she's familiar with and doing her own versions of them.
Bastardizing them.
Yeah. And yeah, that's the affectation that bothers me the most, because I just don't feel like I can take it seriously. And had she had some form of this in the past 4 albums that I could feel in this album, then maybe I would be like, well, that's Gaga. But I don't know who Gaga is anymore after hearing this album. Now it's just like, okay, so she does musical theater in any variety, and this is her latest play. This is the latest, she's doing Annie. Like, I don't know.
And strangely enough, I liked before I heard anything and I looked at the album cover, I actually liked it. I thought it was really nice and pretty and I liked the composition. And then having listened to the album and then having gone back and looked at the album cover, I was just like nauseated. I was like, this is such
performance.
shtick. Yeah.
Yeah, it's such a performance. The live performance is crazy. The fact that she's waving around a guitar, not holding onto the neck properly, is embarrassing. I mean, it's drag. It's really drag. It's like, this is a campy, fake, authentic artist moment for her. And it's kind of disappointing to me that a lot of highbrow publications / a lot of high comparisons are being made to like very serious artists, when I'm like, yeah, but the next album, she might just go right back to, glitchy electropop and just be like, well, that was
I wonder if she will, though.
I don't
And
think so.
I mean, well, would you have an issue with it as much with the derivation and the drag if you felt like it was done better? I'm thinking of
Yes.
like the way Taylor Swift's Wildest Dreams is a Lana Del Rey song.
Right.
How she
Yeah.
just ripped
It's
off
funny,
Lana Del Rey
you
blatantly,
mentioned
but
this.
really
I was thinking
successfully.
about that, actually, the whole Taylor Swift becoming pop. But the difference for me is that Taylor has always been pop, and I don't know, it just feels more real to me when she did it, probably because she's never had such a crazy, like, persona, I guess.
I would
I
draw.
mean, obviously, she
I
has
can't compare
like,
them because I think Lady Gaga is far and away a better artist. And even if this is a misstep, obviously, I think
Right.
she's still supremely more talented.
Of course.
But yesterday I was thinking, I was thinking of like what big pop stars have done sort of concept albums in recent years. And I thought of Back to Basics. And I'm by no means a big Christina Aguilera fan.
Let's talk
But
about it.
I feel like Ain't No Other Man by all accounts was a very successful song based on, 20 to 40s
Totally.
sounds. And, it got her a Grammy, and I think it was well deserved. And it was pop that honored the sound rather than tried to make it something that it was not. And Joanne just sounds so labored to me. And I think that's what I was thinking when I was comparing the two is Ain't No Other Man felt very sort of effortless, and she was really just, Christina was into the sound, whereas Gaga was just sort of manipulating the sound into her own strange mappings. I don't know.
Totally agree with that. Yeah, I feel like it was a natural evolution of Christina's personality, and
Yeah.
it fit. I would also make a comparison to Beyonce leaping from, I guess 4 would be the transition album for her, into self-titled, but she did this in such a gradual, and I will say Madonna-esque way, where all of a sudden she had her kind of frozen ray of light moment with self-titled, and this is the same woman who did Single Ladies, and both of them feel authentic to her completely.
Yeah.
And you don't have
Yeah.
any, you don't feel like, oh, she's doing drag. You would never say that about self-titled. That doesn't feel like that at all. So I think this is just an example of like really ham-fisted, like, now I'm this. I
Yeah.
hold a guitar and I'm serious. Whereas Beyonce's made this like beautiful transition. Madonna's done it. Christina had that moment. It wasn't as long-lived because she did
No.
other things, but
And she was Baby Jane, but she didn't sign as Baby Jane.
right, exactly. And I think some of her fans are angry that people don't like it because it's like, oh, she's evolving. And it's like, no, but it doesn't feel like an evolution. It feels like covers. It feels like
It feels like
camp.
she went off a cliff instead
Yeah.
of continuing up the mountain.
Yes.
I understand that feeling, that the difference being with Beyonce,
Yeah.
that even again, I know there's also a large committee of songwriters and producers involved in that, but at
Totally.
the end of the day, there's a definite, very sincere, I feel the emotion when she's singing Blue, or she's singing, I feel an actual visceral emotion from her. Whereas, yes, I understand, like, this feels like detached and arm's length and a play acting of an emotion. That said, I love it. Sinner's Prayer, you guys. Great song.
No, I
I-
like that you like it.
I will
because
talk about
Really
the
love
things I
it.
do like, because I do like about 4
Let's.
songs. Yeah. I love Dancing in Circles. That is Alejandro Part 2. It's just with, a little drawl attached to it. And I cannot believe Beck is attached. I would like receipts for exactly what he did on that song.
I mean, yeah, but his range is insane too.
Yeah, true.
And I mean, if you think more of the spectrum of like Wow, which is like a recent, he's like been dabbling in
love
just
that
straight pop. Me too.
Yeah.
He's been dabbling in very straightforward pop lately, so that didn't
cool.
surprise me.
Okay. Definitely love that one. It feels like the most like her, and so does John Wayne. Kind of feels like it
Love
could
it.
have been a Gaga song, but it's just guitars.
I
instead
really
of
love
synths.
the intro. I know it's really cheesy and
Oh,
stupid,
yeah.
and everyone hates it, but it makes me laugh every time.
Yeah.
In a good
Wait,
way.
is that
Yes.
is that like
Yeah.
Hey Girls,
Several-
Let's Get Going? Or what was it?
What?
What is it? What's the intro? I can't remember.
What's she?
I
don't-
love
Go
cowboys.
faster!
Yeah, okay, that's what I
She
thought.
like
Yeah, yeah.
screams.
So stupid, but
Ugh.
I
I
love
don't mind
it.
it. I don't mind the goofy.
Yeah.
I mean, even like in Diamond Heart, like the "Do you have a girlfriend?"
I
in
actually
Blue Heart,
love
it's,
that
like,
line.
So ridiculous, but
It
I'm
is.
like along for the ride. I like
It
it.
reminded me of when she had that little thing in Sex Dreams where she had that like drunken
Oh,
conversation
totally.
with herself. It
Well,
was kinda
she's always,
strange.
yeah. I mean, I would say that she's still silly, but she doesn't really want to present herself that way, which is kind of weird
Right.
because like she had those ridiculous lyrics through The Fame and The Fame Monster, Sexy Cupid and all of that, like disco stick, and this kind of still feels like that in some ways, but obviously it's Take Me Seriously now. Like it really doesn't feel like, this is her stripped down era. I will also say that I am never gonna like Ayo.
Yeah.
Tough.
That is, as somebody pointed out to me, it sounds just like a song from High School Musical 2.
And,
And
now that you sent
now
me
that
it's
that
ruined.
video, I can't unhear the
Ruined.
similarity.
Yeah, it sounds. Yeah.
There's the deluxe track song that sounds oddly like The Fame. Just Another Day, is it? Or
That's
just,
the piano one.
there's one that's like kind of,
Grigio Girls.
no.
That's the other
So
one.
Grigio Girls. So
Grigio Girls, the
is
song
that-
for women drinking wine.
right, and
Yeah.
everyone's like, "Oh, that's supposed to be about the Real Housewives," and I guess she is the Real Housewives fan.
Oh,
But I'm really unclear. Is it like a tribute to basics? For lack of a better term.
if it isn't intentional, it is accidentally because that's what the song is. It's like,
See, I don't even.
Mom's
I
drinking
can't
wine.
listen to her lyrics because that
Yeah, that's
ruins
too
most
much.
of her songs.
I
for
can't
me.
help it. I'm such a lyrics listener.
No, I wrote one down from that song because I didn't understand it. She said, "And then we'll have our 6th Spice Girl in this bitch."
like
oh yeah.
she'll be in this. She'll be the new Spice Girl.
Somebody dyes their hair red, and
Mm-hmm.
so then they'll have their 6th Spice Girl in this bitch, and I don't understand the
I
relevance.
think it's like I think she's like talking like squad goals, like kind of like
Right.
you're my it's the ladies we're just hanging out. We're the Spice
And
Girls.
so now, if you're saying it's about the Real Housewives, I'm further confused by it, which is why I just don't pay attention.
Well,
I
the Housewives
find-
connection, I think, was that they one in particular, Les Pinot Grigio. I think that was.
Mm-hmm.
But
oh, yes.
I mean, welcome to the world.
Right,
How
no,
many-
I know.
right. I will say that I have a better time with Gaga's lyrics when I don't listen to her explain what the lyrics mean, because
Yes.
Sure.
I was fully on board for the Fame Monster, and it fully tuned out every time she said that each song represented a fear. I was like, you're going to tell me Telephone is about your fear of being called on the dance floor? Like, I
Scary. I hate it.
preferred just not to listen to her when she explains it, because it's usually
I
so
didn't
over
even
the
know
top.
that, really?
Oh yeah, she says each song is a fear on the Fame Monster.
The greatest thing is that now she's writing her lyrics on a typewriter. I don't know
Oh,
if you guys have seen
that's
the
the
many
other part.
videos.
Oh, God.
That's a hard
That's my
one.
favorite.
to
I just
defend.
think of
It's
her
a
writing,
real hard one to
"Ayo,
defend.
ayo,
Right.
dance mirrors on the ceiling."
That's your favorite lyric, isn't it?
It
I
is
see
my
you write it
favorite.
in every post.
I think it's fucking.
You just see
So
her
stupid.
with people like surrounded by laptops and like tablets, and she's walking down the boardwalk with like a clunky typewriter in her arm.
It's so hard. It's such performance art.
Or I think it was in the Zane Lowe interview, which I
Oh.
watched the entire thing
too.
of. Yeah, it was pretty painful. It was 40 minutes of her just waxing poetic about herself. And at
Yeah.
one point, she recites the lyrics for Angel Down, which we
Oh.
should probably
We should
talk
discuss-
about. And it was just so cringeworthy because she's so. It's weird. She seems earnest, but also put on at the same time.
Yeah.
I feel that too.
You know?
I do have the hardest time with her when she's singing about serious issues because of everything we're
Yes.
talking about.
Yes.
Both this and even Till It Happens to You.
Yes.
Which I love that song exists. And I love that it was celebrated. And I love the project that it came from. You know, I love all the intention behind it. And if it affected people positively or helped someone, great.
Yes.
But it was so schmaltzy. And yeah, it's really hard to not have it feel a little disingenuous the way it's so overwrought. It's like anyone telling you like this is sad is not going to be.
Yeah.
Tell me like the basic minutia and detritus of his life. Like show me pictures of him with his family. That makes me sad. Someone telling me it's like it's any writing lesson.
So
Don't tell me it's sad.
to add color to that, it also no pun intended. Oh my God.
Wow.
Is the fact that Gaga said that Angel Down is about Trayvon Martin, which is
Yeah.
really
Right. That's why. Yeah.
Right, that's what you're speaking
and
to.
she actually revealed that as in an angry way to the writer of the New York Times review, who
Oh, John Caraminica.
dragged. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that was the. See, I read that before I heard the album.
Yeah.
And you guys know that I don't care for album reviews, period.
Right.
But in this rare case, because I actually wasn't planning on really listening to and enjoying the Lady Gaga so much, I was like, I'll read this. This seems fun to read someone roast something. And now I think he was being really harsh, and I'm mad on her behalf. But
I couldn't read it because I used up my 11
Oh.
free articles of the month.
we've all been there.
So-
yeah.
Right.
Gotta wait till November.
I'll screen cap
Yeah,
it. For
Yeah,
you. Thanks.
using Trayvon as a defense against a
Bad
person.
review.
Yeah, that's pretty.
That wasn't my favorite.
uncouth.
Yes.
I have an issue with almost all of her issue songs.
Yeah.
So this is just the latest one. I mean, actually, I don't mind Angel Down, and Red One produced it weirdly.
Really?
Yeah, Red
Wow.
One. Yeah, but without any of his usual. Obviously, his production is stripped from it, so I'm not sure exactly how that worked.
I
but
mean, you can't really hear anyone. To that review's point, I think that John Caraminica review did say, and it is true. Even the artists that I listed, that I'm a huge fan of, all of them, you can't really hear, and they're also disparate artists. You can't really pick out. There's so many Mark Ronson songs that I'll be like, oh, horn section, that's Mark Ronson. Like right away, there's so many with Kevin Parker, but
Yeah.
it becomes kind of a mishmash soup
totally
a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's her issue song. I guess Little Monster was at her album release party and said that Gaga told him that she wrote it the day of the trial.
So like a while ago.
A while ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
And
Yeah.
again, obviously, to her credit, it's a great thing to raise awareness for something like that. I think it's lovely that she would do something like that. But the way it was delivered was almost like an act of aggression rather than like an invitation for peace somehow. I don't know. It was like
Right.
angry.
I almost just think she didn't need to tell everyone.
yeah.
yeah.
Because that's
Let
what
it be
makes it
personal.
feel so disingenuous
Yeah.
to me.
Yeah.
And I mean, I do think she genuinely cares about things.
Yeah.
But I don't, it feels really off.
It does feel off. I mean, I always have problems with it. It's always, I famously got into a fight with my ex when Born This Way came out because it was just so like over the top, like literally spelling out LGBT in the song, and it's so like,
Sesame Street
it's
lecture.
so Sesame Street. Like, yeah, I mean, it's hard though. I don't
Yeah,
want
and
to
that
take
song
away.
has its own issues too. Orient Descent.
Yeah.
The whole Chola thing.
Yeah,
when
that-
she's
Oh.
not.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh, wow.
it's got. It,
And then Till It Happens to You, coming 2 years after working with R. Kelly, and Terry Richardson was also like questionable as far as, you know, the messaging. I don't know. Problematic in ways. But in other ways, I am glad that she's raising those issues.
Yeah, and again, I mean, there's so many songs like that. I don't have a huge appetite for like very hit you over the head. Even I'm thinking also of Rise, which I made fun of a lot when Katy Perry released it, and then when the Pulse nightclub massacre victim was on Ellen saying that it got him through this really hard time surviving. I was like, okay, I guess I'll shut up now because it helped people, and what do I know about anything?
Yep, that's pretty much my take on Born This Way, because I have since either met or gone on dates with people who have like tattoos because of that song and stuff, and I'm like, well, that means a lot to you.
Yeah.
I can't. And that's why I fought with my ex, because he was like, this means everything. This is like, you know, such an important song for us. I'm like, don't tell me what's important. But like for him, it really was. And I can't take that away. It just doesn't feel it for me. But
As a parallel, I think something like The Greatest by Sia, which the first time I watched, I had no idea what it was about. I just thought it was a beautiful song and a beautiful video. And then to hear the meaning sort of organically unravel was much more affecting to me than this song that basically beats you over the head with a sentiment.
Yeah, that's the
Right.
difference, I think.
it is. Yeah, she's never been subtle.
Yeah, no.
No.
Which comes with her whole musical theater background,
does.
I feel.
You have to accept that about her to get
Yeah.
into her music, which is, it's good and bad. It's just who she is. That is really ultimately what it comes down to.
True.
I think I'm sort of getting the sense from her, which I didn't necessarily think before, that she just feels like as soon as she learns about something, that she is the authority on that.
Oh,
and that's where I
God.
think the
Yes.
trouble comes.
Yeah.
That's
But-
my least favorite kind of person.
I
Now you
know.
make me not like it.
Because I'm sort of
projecting
thinking
on
about
her,
it now
but-
too. Not only the music, I feel like she heard some of these songs and then decided she was an expert on it and she was going to replicate them seamlessly. And then on the causes, sometimes it's just like, take a back seat and say you support these causes when you know, artists who are more directly affected by them are speaking out, rather than try to assume some sort of oversight over these causes where, you know,
Yeah.
don't assume identity where you don't have it.
Yeah,
Well,
that's pretty
she's
dicey.
assuming somebody else's
Right.
identity
Yeah.
right
Yeah.
now. Yeah, identity has always been a thing for her. And she called out, I think it was recently, and if it wasn't, it might have been Fame Monster era, where she talked.
So either recently
So
or
either-
really not.
It was hard to place where the video was. I believe it was actually older. She was talking about Bowie, who years ago, that was her number one. She also changes who she decides is her biggest fan. This time she's saying she's Beck's number one fan in interviews.
Yeah.
Which
Right,
is just
yeah.
fine, sure. But she said that she really admired how he was Ziggy, then he, you know, put that to bed, and that was that. And it was kind of a foreshadowing of what she was planning to do with Gaga, I think, of saying, you know, I was this persona and now the evolution is coming. She's still assuming another identity, and she's not really being Stephanie yet.
Right.
But I think that's what she's kind of always envisioned for herself, maybe.
Maybe. It really worries me though, because I feel like she wants to kind of erase her past in a way. Like she's not really acknowledging all of her like electro pop.
Yeah.
And so I wonder how her tours are going to be. I mentioned this before, how Taylor Swift, everyone's favorite in this room.
Yes.
She only performed, I think, one or two old songs on her 1989 world tour, which I went to.
Right.
And instead just played the entire album and did like an acoustic version of an old song every night it changed.
Yeah.
And I was really irritated by that because Red is her best era and it should have just been that album.
And I bet a lot of people
Entire
agree,
time.
or at least half the place.
I
Probably
don't
her
think
real
so
fans.
because her fans it's like a cult. You get sucked in and it's like Gaga. It's similar in that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get sucked in and everything they do is right and nothing is wrong. And it's kind of bizarre.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm worried for her tours because Gaga's tours are always so good.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't go to Art Pop, Rave, whatever it was
Art
called.
Rave.
Art Rave. So I wouldn't know. But before that,
Rave
I
Bar.
mean, she really knows how to put on a show. And now I'm like, what is she going to do? Stand there with a guitar and strum the entire night and cry?
I don't know if
That
Like a Demi
can't
Lovato
be.
show.
wow, if Saturday Night Live was
doesn't play
any
guitar.
indication, yeah, that's true. If SNL was any indication, it's gonna be probably Joanne with high production dancers, campy, country, folky accoutrements, and probably I don't think she's gonna entirely get rid of old stuff. She will probably change the genre, and she'll probably make it fit more seamlessly. If I had to guess, and then she's doing her lip sync. What is it? Carpool karaoke.
Oh,
Lip
yeah.
sync.
Lip sync. Well, only my fave lip synced on carpool karaoke, but and Mariah weirdly. Anyway,
Selena, I think.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, she was
Well,
on a roller
who could
coaster.
tell?
That's true.
Who
That is
could
true.
tell?
Right,
But
right.
she, I think, has to do old songs on that. Much like they make. The only reason I like carpool karaoke is they make all our faves, like they force them to sing their songs that we want them to sing,
That's
that they'll never
true.
sing
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
She did Bad Romance, yeah.
Yeah. So, but that might be a one-time thing that she's just been forced to do.
Also, you can't tell me Lady Gaga's not silly anymore when she was doing that floor work on Saturday Night
Oh,
Live,
God.
whatever that was.
She was so serious about
it was
it. I
so,
couldn't-
look what I can do, and then she just rolled around on her back.
She
for
thinks
a
she's
solid
Simone
minute.
Biles now.
Yeah,
Like, that's what
Oh,
she
boy.
is.
That was strange.
Yeah. So I guess we'll have to see where she takes this era. There hasn't been any talk of a tour even, so
That's true.
I don't
Maybe
know.
she has to
That
tour.
can't be
well,
possible,
you know, it
yeah.
won't happen anytime soon. She's got to do Super Bowl.
Oh,
Ah.
right. I guess we'll see what happens
And
there.
she's in.
That'll be the invitation.
Is she
Yeah.
making A Star Is Born or?
Yeah,
Oh,
she's
yeah.
she's the lead.
She may not tour.
No.
Yeah.
She could get out of it and be
She
like,
can get out of
I
it.
literally don't have the time.
Super Bowl plus film and probably more
But is
American
Joanne
Horror
going to
Story.
sell
Gotta
enough
go-
copies? I mean, she needs that tour to back her.
That's
I
true,
feel.
but-
You'll have
this-
to
yeah.
ask Pentatonics.
It may be.
What are her? This is completely only semi-related. But what didn't she say she bankrupted herself with the Art Pop tour, or there was some
Yes.
tour that she?
She says that every tour, I think, but she says she always digs into her own pockets for each tour and
So a
spends
bankrupted
everything.
might be people, the kind of person who's like, I can't go out to dinner. I'm so broke, but they have like $10,000 in savings.
Or like when
but-
Perry Edwards recently said that Zayn left her homeless, even though
Yeah,
Right,
right.
Yeah.
right.
Being very dramatic about it.
It may be not so literal.
See, I can relate to Gaga in those ways when she's dramatic. That's why I like her so much, or used to love her. I don't know
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah, I don't know. Based on these interviews, I don't care for her right now.
Yeah.
But it goes back and forth. The Zane Lowe interview was really hard to get through, and I didn't get through all of it because
Of the Madonna quote.
the Madonna quote really
you were
took
so
me
mad
out.
at her.
Took me out. She did not need to go there.
Would you
And
say
she
you
went
It
Really?
was bad. It was pretty bad. I
The
mean-
thing is, like, and I make this comparison to Ariana, who was completely like bombarded with Mariah comparisons for 2 albums.
Mhm.
And now you don't think about that. I mean, the joke, there's still a joke on Stan Twitter, you know, to compare them, but otherwise it's really not. I don't feel that she's Mariah's career. Nobody really feels that
No.
way. But and Gaga for a while there had like avoided that after the exhausting 2012 reductive gate and all of that. And then all of a sudden, she really didn't have to do it on this interview. And she was like, well, no, Madonna and I are very different. You know, I write and I produce.
Yeah, the question was totally innocuous.
It
She
was
answered
totally
it
innocuous.
as if it were a different question.
Yeah. He was basically like, oh, you know, Papa Don't Preach, Perfect Illusion, like something
Yeah,
about
he was just talking about
overprotective
the
It was
father.
dad, yeah,
parallels between
exactly.
them, and then
And then she put on her voice. We're very different.
He basically just said, like, you both mentioned the word dad in your
Yes,
song.
Yeah.
yes.
The best part was she said she's a nice lady.
She's a nice lady.
I mean, he didn't have to ask that question.
He didn't.
That's
No.
I'm more annoyed with him in that situation. I just
Yeah.
think that's really tiresome. Just
It is
dredging up
tiresome.
I know we all do it with the artist interviews. It's
We
really
do.
easy and tempting to
Yeah.
be like, what do you think about this person? To try to get a good soundbite out of it. But like, I just don't hear as many male artists asked about their male contemporary.
She just
in
went
that way.
overboard
Yeah.
with her response
Yeah.
by calling herself a true artist, basically.
Yeah, yeah.
And saying Madonna just practices for a show.
Right. It was a really confusing explanation because if whatever she was implying is what she was implying, it was like incredibly offensive.
It
She's
was, yeah.
I have nothing but respect for her, but I'm okay with being not perfect.
You see her
Yeah.
face change, too. It becomes a little scary.
Yeah.
It's like it definitely
She's
still bothers her.
offended. Yeah.
It definitely bothers her, even though like they couldn't be more different at this point, clearly. But yeah, so that really
Is it easier for me to like this album because I had no strong feelings about Gaga either way?
I think
before?
so.
definitely,
Okay.
definitely. And
I
if
didn't
you don't
really
watch
either,
interviews
though.
or anything, it's a wonderful
Yeah,
era.
I
I'm
mean,
sure.
Yeah, I
It's
don't.
true.
I don't
really,
have any, again, I don't, yeah, there's not a lot of
Joanne
artist
is
interviews I
just
watch.
marred by Lady Gaga's personality.
Uh huh.
Well,
for me.
I'm
So you are-
unencumbered.
You are
You're so
not.
lucky. You're so blessed.
Very
Hashtag
lucky.
blessed. The words of Bruno Mars.
I suppose that is the draw of our jobs, is that we have to be inundated with all of the content that she provides, and I
Yeah.
feel like casual fans and even a lot of hardcore fans don't have to deal with a lot of that. We just see every bit of her.
Yeah,
It's
anecdotally,
true.
I'm hearing from a lot of friends on Facebook and stuff that
Yeah.
it's not the album that they wanted, or it's not the album that they needed, but it's never mind. You know what I mean? It's not what they were
But it's the
expecting, but
album
they
they
liked
deserve.
it. Yeah, it's something like that.
Yeah. They came in with an open heart.
Right.
Yeah. True.
Diamond Heart.
A diamond
Great
heart.
song, guys.
Ooh.
Can't.
That
stress
sounds like
it
a Foo
enough.
Fighters song. It sounds like a Foo Fighters song from their worst album, Echo, Silence, Patience, and Grace.
We're gonna check
I
that
actually
out
don't
after.
like that
Foo
album, but
Fighters.
okay.
But
Yeah,
I'm gonna
that's
go
fine.
listen to it now.
You should listen to that album. Maybe you'll like it.
I'm actually
don't.
not going to listen to it because since AO was ruined for me by that High School Musical song, I'm on shaky ground right now.
Yeah. Well, we'd love to hear your opinions of Joanne.
Yes, or your opinions of our opinions.
Yes, we'd love to hear those opinions too. Lord knows we hear enough of them on Twitter.
Would you say that you are a Joe fan?
Would you? Yeah. Are you a little Joanator?
Oh my God.
I'm a Joe fan.
So
Oh,
leave us.
also, we
Oh.
ranked Lady Gaga's
We did.
20 singles. Bradley and I painstakingly
I was going to ask if
wrote
yeah.
up all 20 of them together.
We
It was
did.
really, and I ranked them, but you changed the
I
order.
changed
of
one
of them.
song, which I felt was a bit lower than it should be.
Wow.
It was hard. It was really hard.
It was hard. It gets iffy in the middle for sure.
Okay, thank you.
But
for
we
that.
definitely our top ones we're really secure with. You'll have to check
Yeah.
popcrush.com to see
Mhm.
which ones we picked.
Yeah.
Did that.
Yeah. So
Have
that's,
you heard from anyone about those choices?
On Facebook,
Yes.
everyone's really mad.
everyone's
Cool.
mad. Yeah.
Cool.
So we feel really good about
Good.
it.
Nice.
It's true.
Yeah. But yeah, and I'd also like to just say that I come from a place of Gaga fandom. I saw Monster Ball 3 times. I was there at the very beginning. So this is not just a I hate Lady Gaga.
Yes.
I am
Speak for
critical
yourself.
because
I'm just kidding.
Matt's just always hated her. It's definitely coming from a critical place because I really certainly at peak 2009, 2010, she was, not to make the comparison, but then it did feel like, oh shit, like Madonna's got competition. At that time, it felt like that huge. And Bad Romance was a movement.
Yes, I feel similarly.
Yeah.
Gaga was like it for me
Yeah.
when she first came out. I was so happy. So that's where all of the sadness comes from now.
Yeah.
I've never been to
Disappointment.
Monster Ball, but I've seen the movie Monsters Ball, and I
Ooh.
really like the song John Wayne.
There we go.
That's my hot take.
That is
Right.
a hot take if I've ever heard. That
Certainly.
deserves a full essay. That would be written by a millennial for sure.
No, it would be. I just don't like Lady Gaga. I'm sorry. A 10,000 word hot take.
It would be thought catalog. All right. Well, yeah. Let us know what you think of Joanne. Leave us a comment on YouTube when we post this video, and tweet us all sorts of nice things about our opinions. For more from us, subscribe to us on Apple Music /iTunes at Some Like It Pop. Follow us at Twitter at PopCrush, Facebook PopCrush.
Every time we do the
what else?
outro, it's like we've never heard of any
Yeah.
social application at all.
YouTube?
Instagram PopCrush.
Look, just
Pop Crush
Google
music.
Pop Crush.
Yeah.
There you go. Not Pop Crunch.
No, not PopCrush.
No.
Double
Crush.
smash that like button, guys.
Smash. Yeah. Great. Ayo.